The Borg are as important to Star Trek's origin story as the Vulcans. When you think of Star Trek's origin story, one alien species likely comes to mind first: the Vulcans. After all, it was their iconic first contact with humanity, captured beautifully in Star Trek First Contact and further explored in Star Trek Enterprise, that catalyzed Earth's journey into the stars. With their logic-driven culture and pointed ears, the Vulcans are often viewed as the spark that lit the Federation's fire. But there's another alien species whose influence on Star Trek's narrative DNA runs just as deep: the Borg. Cold, unstoppable, terrifying, the Borg are far from the benevolent mentors the Vulcans were, yet their role in defining the core themes of Star Trek, identity, unity, resistance, and the fear of losing individuality, makes them just as integral to the franchise's philosophical backbone. While the Vulcans helped start humanity's journey, the Borg tested its soul. The Vulcans gave Star Trek its beginning, but the Borg gave it its purpose. Vulcans initiated the hopeful future that Star Trek is known for. Their arrival was a signal to humanity that it was ready for something bigger, ready to evolve beyond war, greed, and division. Their presence served as a mentor-like hand guiding Earth into the United Federation of Planets. Without Vulcan logic, diplomacy, and partnership, the Federation might never have formed. But the Borg. They represent the antithesis of everything the Federation stands for. In many ways, they are the anti-Vulcans. Where Vulcans value individuality tempered by logic, the Borg consume identity into a collective. Where the Federation unites through choice, the Borg assimilate by force. It's this ideological threat that gives Star Trek a deeper conflict. The Federation doesn't just explore space, it stands in constant opposition to what it could become if it abandoned its ideals. The Borg are that dark mirror. Humanity's first contact with the Borg is just as defining. In Star Trek First Contact, the Vulcans greet humanity with curiosity and peace. But in Q-Who, the episode that introduced the Borg in Star Trek The Next Generation, humanity is thrown into a terrifying first contact scenario that reveals just how unprepared it is for the dangers lurking in the galaxy. Q's intervention may seem cruel, but it functions as a necessary wake-up call. The moment the Enterprise D faces the Borg, everything changes. This encounter redefines Starfleet's understanding of the galaxy and pushes Picard and his crew into a state of heightened awareness. The Vulcans may have opened the door to the stars, but the Borg forced the Federation to fortify that door and look inward, asking whether it was strong enough, morally and technologically, to survive in such a vast, dangerous universe. The Borg made Star Trek personal. Few Star Trek villains have left as deep a psychological impact on a character as the Borg did on Captain Jean-Luc Picard. His assimilation into Locutus and the best of both worlds didn't just scar him, it challenged the very foundation of who he was. That trauma became central to Star Trek First Contact and resurfaced years later in Star Trek Picard. The Vulcans challenged humanity to evolve intellectually. The Borg challenged it to hold onto its humanity under threat of erasure. That's not just a narrative beat, it's Star Trek's central question. What does it mean to be human in a galaxy where the loss of self is always one nanobot away? The Federation's ideals only matter because of the Borg. The United Federation of Planets is built on principles of cooperation, diversity, and free will. The Borg, in contrast, are a technocratic hive mind. They don't negotiate. They don't listen. They convert. That ideological difference makes the Federation's values more than aspirational. They're necessary. Every time Starfleet faces the Borg, it must reaffirm those values. The conflict with the Borg reveals cracks in the Federation's utopia. Captains become obsessed, ethics are bent, and peace seems impossible. And yet, by choosing to resist, Star Trek's characters prove that those ideals are not just words, they're commitments, tested in fire. In Borg, the crew debates whether to use Hugh, a disconnected Borg drone, as a weapon. This moral dilemma cuts to the core of what Star Trek is about. Do we treat the enemy with compassion, even if they are part of a force that would destroy us? Or do we sacrifice our values for safety? The Vulcans might have guided humanity toward enlightenment, but the Borg make us fight to keep it. The Borg's cultural impact is equal to the Vulcans. Let's talk legacy. Vulcans gave us Spock, arguably the most recognizable character in Star Trek history. But the Borg gave us Locutus, 7 of 9, and some of the most gripping stories across multiple